I'm making this little film for one of the Zoom sessions while I'm away on holiday. I thought, as Charles spoke with you last week about confession, I might go on to talk about one of the other sacraments, and I might talk to you a little bit today about baptism. I'll be completely honest, this is a version of the homily that people get at baptisms, and it's something that I could do at a very busy time without having to do lots of extra preparation. But I thought you might find it interesting and helpful to listen to one of the things that I try to share with families at the great and beautiful occasion, the baptism of a child. Of course, families want for their children the very best. What all parents are trying to do is to create a safe environment where their children have the opportunity to grow into the very best person they can be. Parents want to surround their children with love, to give them all the equipment they need to be happy and have a great life, to fulfill all of their dreams and hopes and expectations. Parents are making this safe place for their children to grow into the very best people they can be, so they can make a big contribution to the world around them. And that's what the church wants too. And of course, at baptism, what happens is that a child is adopted as a child of God. They become a part of the family of the church, and the church wants to do exactly the same. The church is trying to create a safe place in which this child can discover the beauties and the wonders of truth, of human life, what it means to be a human being, to discover the very best person that they can be, and to receive all that they need to make that come to pass. What the church is trying to give to our young people is a sort of toolkit to help them negotiate ordinary life, to try and discover what God might have in mind for them. And baptism is the beginning of that. In a sense, baptism is the kind of box, the toolbox that is given. They're started off on this life of gifts. The church will keep giving them gifts all the way through their lives. And it starts at the celebration of baptism. And later on, the church will give them a gift when they come when they're 7 or 8 years old for their first reconciliation, their first confession, the gift of being able to start again, to look back on life, on our failures, and instead of being ruled and governed and bowed down, burdened by our failures, to be able to leave them all behind, to have that forgiven, and to start again, to be set free from the failures of the past. And should we be hungry for contact with reality, hungry for contact with things that are more than material, something spiritual, something deep, something profound, something that has more to it than meets the eye, well, that's something else the church will give us the tools for that as well when these young people come to receive their first Holy Communion. And later on, when they reach an age where they're beginning to become aware of what's lacking in the world, of how the world could be so much better than it is, when they're feeling this burning desire to make the world a better place, well, the church says to them, well, you're no longer a passive recipient of what the church has to offer. You're now a part of its mission of changing and transforming the world, enriching the world. So we give them the sacrament of confirmation. And then, as if there is a need, of course, for some guidance, some sort of wisdom to help them through the maze of ordinary life, to help them to decide what is good and what is bad, what is helpful and what is not helpful, the wisdom of many, many years, so that they don't have to rediscover all of that for themselves. Well, that's no problem. The church will give them that in the scriptures. So we give them the scriptures too as part of this toolkit for a good life. And then, because, of course, we all need to be fed on any sort of journey, this journey of discovery, the church gives them also the sacraments, so that whenever they need something, they need forgiveness, they need food, they need healing, they need company, they need a prophetic role, the church gives them the sacraments as part of that toolkit as well. And of course, none of us can make a journey on our own. We need to be part of a community. So they belong to the community. Wherever they go, wherever they travel, this young person will be able to find a church, maybe a bit like ours, maybe not quite like ours, but there will be a priest there and a community there celebrating Mass, seeing the world the way that they see it. And then wherever they travel to, there is a place for them to belong. They are at home. They need never be strangers. Any town or city that they travel to, they can find a place where they instantly belong. And that's a good thing. And of course, we all need role models. We need heroes to help us and a helping hand when life is difficult. And that's what the saints are. So the church gives them the saints as well as part of this toolkit. Saints who will pray for them, who will be cheering them on from the sideline, who will be rooting for them, but also saints who can give them some idea of what life is meant to be like, how you're supposed to live life, of how you discover the priorities of life, the things that matter and the things that don't. And in all of this, then, the church's aim is to do exactly what the parents of this child are wanting, to create an environment, an atmosphere where this child can grow in wonder and hope, can learn what the world might have to offer them, and can learn what they might have to offer the world. So baptism is part of the toolkit that the church gives people, a toolkit for good living, to help them to become the very best person they could be. That's all of us, any of us can be asked for. All that God could want from any of us is that we could set out not just to kind of bump along the bottom and be a sort of basic life that doesn't do much good or much harm, but to be the very best person that we can be. And if we set out on that road, that's the path of holiness. To help us get to holiness, we need the tools for the job. And the tools for the job are what we're offered by the church, beginning with the sacrament of baptism. I hope that's helpful. I hope that gives you a bit of an insight into baptism and into how I see it. And if you've been to a baptism recently and heard me speaking, then that's what you'll have heard there. And I apologise that you've heard it again. But have a wonderful meeting and a great day. And I look forward to being with you in person before too long.